Charlie Kirk, Bible Read and Bob Rant for the Eureka Conservative, coming to you from Melbourne. Get rid of my screen. Now I am. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. As you can see in the background, my co-host, JJ, assuming the position already. He's becoming a professional, that boy. We'll give you a look at the bay. Very windy day out there. Again, we've been getting a lot of wind lately. It was very wet last night, but cleared up. Beautiful blue skies. The bay, there's a bit of surf out there. The windsurfers who go around that bay will be pretty happy. And that's our view out to the Dandenong Ranges. So not bad, pretty good weather. It's a lot better today up here. So that means it's a reasonable sort of probably mid-20s day. That's the feel of it. They keep telling us it's going to be really hot on the weekend. I probably believe that because it's been pretty good all week. So usually when you get this sort of week, this sort of weather in Melbourne for a week, she builds up to be pretty hot over a while in summer. So we're due for, we had a couple of hot days there a while back, but we're due for a really hot weekend. So it is late January. So can you believe it? We're coming out of, we're 2/3 of the way through our summer. It will soon be autumn. The days just fly. It's crazy. So anyway, time for the old Bible read. 22nd. Yesterday was very relevant. It was quite funny. I even forget what we said. About forgiving sins. Anyway, it was funny. I thought it was funny. So, all right, today, and it's still life based on forgiveness. Don't we all need that? Don't they? Don't need that in what was the LNP. I've got to stop doing that. I'm getting into my rant before everything else. So, the unforgiving servant, Matthew 18, 21 through 35. On the face of it, forgiving someone 7 times seems to be very good. But Jesus' parable teaches that there should be no limit to forgiveness. Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, if my brother keeps on sinning against me, how many times do I have to forgive him? 7 times. No, not 7 times, answered Jesus, but 70 times 7. Because the kingdom of God is like this. Once there was a king who decided to check on his servants' accounts. He had just begun to do so when one of them was brought in who owed him millions of pounds. The servant did not have enough to pay his debt. So the king ordered him to be sold as a slave with his wife and his children and all that he had. In order to pay the debt, the servant fell on his knees before the king. Be patient with me, he begged, and I will pay you everything. The king felt sorry for him, and so he forgave him the debt and let him go. Then the man went out and met one of his fellow servants. Sorry. This is a difficult one to read, sorry. Fellow servants who owed him a few pounds. He grabbed him and started choking him. Pay back what you owe me, he said. His fellow servant fell down and begged him, be patient with me and I will pay you back. But he refused instead. Instead, he had him thrown into jail until he should pay the debt. When the other servants saw what had happened, they were very upset and went to the king and told him everything. So he called the servant in. You worthless slave, he said, I forgave you the whole amount you owed me just because you asked me to. You should have had mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had mercy on you. The king was very angry and sent the servant to jail to be punished until he should pay back the whole amount. And Jesus concluded, that is how my Father in heaven will treat every one of you unless you forgive your brother from your heart. There you go. Limitless forgiveness. Sorry, the page was really dark and I was across 2 pages, not like usual. So I didn't read that as well as I probably could have. But isn't that interesting? Limitless forgiveness. Geez, don't we need a bit of that, I suppose? I got to admit, I'm going to be honest, I am not very good on the forgiving side of things. I might be in a bit of trouble there when my time comes because if someone does wrong by me, I don't know. It's when people approach me and they say sorry and they're they're genuinely remorseful. I can tell it. I am a very forgiving person, maybe sometimes too forgiving. But if that's the case, then I'm meeting what's in that verse, aren't I? So speaking of forgiveness, I don't know how long we're going to stay on that mode in the extracts, but we'll see. And I dare say a common theme with my rants for probably a week or two is going to be, which is probably a good thing, local politics, because sometimes I do go off into, USA politics and all that sort of thing. So at the moment, we're being dominated by local politics, which is in a way a good thing, because maybe we just we lose our focus on it a lot. So it's good to come back to it. But at the moment, it's so depressing. It is so depressing. I mean, look, I'm a pretty simple guy. I just want the ALP out. I don't care how bad the other mob come in. They can't be as bad as the ALP. Those Marxist communist bastards have just got to go. And everyone's piling on Susan Lane, the Liberals, and piling on David Littleproud and the Nationals and all that sort of thing. And rightly so, especially the Liberal side of things. But at the end of the day, it's the ALP that's brought this all on. That's what everyone on the right, we do this every single time. We know who the enemy is, but we always end up at each other's throats on the centre right. Never used to be that way. Never used to be this way. Sign of my age. I was thinking last night, there's people now who've grown up. So the last time we had competent government, not government you'd like, you're never going to get that, but competent government where we weren't all each other's throats, we'd vote for someone, we'd get to the next election. That was back in 2007 under Howard. Ever since Rudd turned over, it's been a shit show. Not just since then. It's been a shit show all the way through, let's be honest. So since 2007, it's 2026. So we're now at a part where a whole generation in Australia haven't known what competent government looks like. Even under Abbott, I mean, he just could not get anything through the upper house. And everyone blamed him for not doing this, not doing that. Fact is, he couldn't do it. He couldn't get legislation because he had all the idiots in the upper house blocking everything he tried to fix things. So, someone was having a crack at him about 18C. Well, you can only change 18C if you can get the legislation through the upper house. He was never going to get it through that upper house that he had then. He couldn't get anything through that upper house. It was a nightmare. That's why it ended his prime ministership pretty much in the end. Even though, and this is where Australia's system's so stupid. I mean, Abbott secured a resounding win, a mammoth win in the lower house, but couldn't get the majority in the upper house. We just tied their hands behind the back of some politicians. What would it have been like if Abbott had have managed to get the upper house and could have just pushed everything through that he wanted? I think we would be looking at a bit of a different Australia right now. But, so we haven't had competent government since Howard. And, for those of us who grew up through that period, so when I was 18, when I first voted, that was 81. So that's when Hawke came in. And Hawke's government was competent. They were a good bunch of people. They're not like the current ALP. I mean, Hawke's government today would be more right of centre than the Liberals. There's no argument about that one. So we had Hawke, we had Keating. He was a dickhead, but, we still weren't divided. And then we got Howard. So we were very lucky for nearly 20 years, from 1981, I think it was, or two, when Hawke came to power, right through to 2007. So close to 20 years. Is that 20 years? That's over 20 years. So 25 years. We had just competent government, and we voted people in, and we had our arguments around election time, and then we all moved on and got on with life. There wasn't constant protests in the streets. There wasn't this ridiculous rubbish we witnessed the other day. If you wanted to get your political fix, you'd watch Question Time, and that was it. You'd read the newspaper, move on, all had a job. Maybe it's because of social media, I don't know. But we've had a generation of young people come through now who are now voting who have no idea about what a competent government looks like or how it goes. So, when they're talking about, and this is where I think the boomers, me, have sort of got to understand the situation of the young ones coming through. All right, Gen Z. I'm really trying on this. So all they've seen is arseholes at each other's throats. In the Hawke day and the Howard days, there was still some respect between both sides of politics. Whereas these days there's zero respect. They just hate each other, even on the same side. It's just, and then you've got all these Eddie experts on your social media giving them their what for, which I'll come to in a minute. So we're just in a mess, and when we're in a mess like this, the bad guys reign. So the ALP are loving this. They're political animals. I shouldn't say the ALP. Like I said, it's changed. You know, the ALP now are the Marxists, and they don't mind lying their asses off. Look up. I said to young Ben the other night, look up about the Fabian Society. We've got a bunch of them in power now. And if you don't know what the Fabian Society, Fabian, look it up. And everyone wants to attribute blame to this. This has been going on for decades. And on the left, that's what you're dealing with right now. People who want to tear down a society, have a revolution, but without the violence. So that's basically it. You know, there's a lot more to it than that. But to beat them, we've got to have a centre-right party that everyone can rally behind, which, you know, ever since Turnbull, we just haven't had it. We just haven't had it. It's just so frustrating for someone like me, and I'm assuming everyone my age who had it for 25 years, and we're looking at this and how can we be here, you know? And we're potentially looking at the dying days of the Liberal Party. Now, I've got a different theory on that. Everyone's jumping up and down on the grave of the Liberals. And if you listen to the media, if you listen to Sky News today, my God, they are gunning for Littleproud and the Nationals. You think that there is a protection ring going on there for Susan Lane and the Liberals. I mean, how you can actually sheet the blame across to the Liberals here, the Nationals, is beyond me. But anyway, that's where it seems to be going. So they're all at each other's throats again. The media's at their throats again. You know, we're in this constant thing. It's going to take some special sort of people to save either party. And where I'm different to everyone else, while everyone's dancing on their graves, I actually think, and I don't think this is going to happen, right? But I actually think we need the Liberals and the Nationals to survive. I just don't see, like, Labor's got the Greens. So I'm going to go through this tonight, 7:30. I'm doing a special episode of the Eureka Conservative. We're going to have a bit of fun with it. And we're going to go on about what would you do if you were the Liberal Party leader? So if you had a magic wand, how do you get respectability back? Now, I sat up and listened to a few power brokers behind the Liberal Party. I've got no doubt there's no way back, which is, in my opinion, a sad thing. This country needs a united centre-right, and we need the Liberals. There's a lot in the background. They've got the party structure. They've got the people with experience. Got a whole bunch of things that are actually going for them, but they can never get their shit together. And last night I was listening to Michael Kroger, Caroline DeRosso, and Fiona Scott. And today was Fiona Scott. And they're the ones in the background. These are people in the leadership of their administration structure. And they just don't get it. They just don't get it. They think all of this is, all their problems are due to the Nationals and David Littleproud. That's where it's all going right now. And I'm going, where have you been? Do you think we don't have eyes and ears? It wasn't David Littleproud that went into bed with elbow. That was Julian Lesser. That was Susan Lay. You know, you're leader of the coalition. You've got to take accountability for it. They're actually doing what they can to save Lay's leadership. They've got to get rid of her. I mean, that much is as plain as day to anybody can see. If she's going to fight, well, you know, the Liberals are gone. But it would be beneficial if the Liberals could go back to the old LNP and get their mojo back, get their values back, and just get rid of all the moderates. We've been saying this now for nearly 15 years, since 2009 when Turnbull, or was it 8? I can't remember now. No, sorry, what was it? 2014. God, I'm starting to get my ears up and mucked up. When Turnbull knifed Abbott and the moderates reigned supreme for the rest ever since. The moderates are the Labor. Moderates are ALP. They've infested the Liberal Party. And until you can fix that problem, you're probably not going to fix it. Even if they had a change of leadership, the moderate faction would still be coming for him. It's just, if you're a Conservative in the Liberal Party, then I'm sorry, because this taints Alex Antic and a few others. You're fooling yourself. There is no future in the Liberal Party if you're a Conservative. I just don't see it. Because even if the Conservatives reign supreme, you've still got that moderate faction. The only way there can be a future for Conservatives in the Liberal Party is if the Liberal Party purges the moderates. That has been obvious for 15 years. No, 12 years. 12 years. I don't want to be like Albert and all them and lie. So, but I don't know whether they can save themselves. My gut's screaming at me, no, they can't. And I'm not fazed if they don't. So, but I also don't think it's a day to celebrate. I just don't think it's a day to celebrate. Overwhelmingly, from 2007 before, the Liberal Party was a force for good. It did some wrong things, but overwhelmingly it was a force for good, both at state and federal level. And under Abbott, they had another chance to be that force for good. And then Turnbull came on the scene. Thank you, Johnny Howard. And ever since, there's been a decline. And I thought, yes, this week's events would have woken them up. I thought yesterday's events, when the Nationals split from the coalition, there'd be some review or something like that, and they'd really have a good luck. I thought there'd be a leadership spill straight away. Don't look that way. Looks like they're going to batten down the hatches and try and push on. Well, you're gonna die a death of 1,000 cuts. So anyway, so tonight we're going to try and review it. But for those, there's people, and I'll give you two. There's two people dancing on the grave. Well, not two. There's a lot of people dancing on the graves of the Liberals. I'm not going to do it because we actually need the Liberals. We needed, not need, I understand that. We needed the Liberals to turn around and become the old Liberals. And even probably go a little bit further. And then we had a semblance of chance of getting this ALP government out sooner rather than later. So if you're dancing on the grave, and I put this in a tweet today, if you're dancing on the grave of the Liberals, you're actually dancing on the grave of the future of this country. Seriously, I mean, I just fathom what has happened. Everyone could be cheering it on, but I think you're actually being a bit foolish cheering it on. And I'll tell you why. We've got Senator Babbitt. I've never trusted that bastard. Sorry. And today, when he wrote in a tweet celebrating the Liberals and the Nationals all falling apart, and he said, "My work is done." As soon as he wrote that, I thought, you, pardon my French, block your ears if you don't like swearing, you fucking bastard. His mission was to destroy the only opposition we had who could win government back from the ALP. He's quite happy that the ALP are in government still. He actually wrote a public statement, released it with his signature, thanking Albanese for destroying the LNP today. That guy is a snake in the grass. He is what they call in the Bible a false prophet. If you're following him, you're a fool. Sorry. If you're following me and you think he's great, I'm sorry. I think he's a fool. I think he's an arsehole. I think he's a saboteur. And I don't think he had all the bullshit he talks about this stuff for saving Australia. If you really wanted to act in this nation's interest, there's no way, zero chance that you would be prepared to leave us in a situation where the ALP could stay in government for 2 decades. Well, that's what we're staring at. That's what we're staring at. Now, yeah, I'm on the One Nation train at the moment, and I think a whole bunch of other people are going to get there. But one, they've got to win government. They're a long way from winning government. I can see a path there, but they're going to have to tick every bloody box to get there. Every box. If that doesn't work, we've got the ALP for the next 2-3 decades. There's no one else. We've just destroyed. Oh, and I shouldn't say we. Some of us over there, not me, but there's people on social media, in the media, and in the Liberal Party, and even in the Nationals, that have destroyed the LNP coalition, and more importantly, or more acutely, destroyed the Liberal Party. So a party that has been the only party to lead an opposition in the government, that includes the Nationals, but the minor party with the Liberals forming government, it's now looked like it's nearly dead and buried. I can't see it coming back. And look, there's a side of me hopes it can. There's a side of me hopes it can get its shit together and come back in the right way. But I don't see it. I think it will die a slow death like the Australian Democrats did. And there's One Nation is the only one who can replace it. All these other minor parties, I'm sorry, guys, and I've got a few good friends, unless you're serious about winning government, just pull out. Just get out of the place. I mean, you've been talking about winning balance of power. It's never, ever happened. So we've got to get someone who can get the ALP out of government. That party right now is One Nation. And if you're just going to muck around the edges and say, well, we're going to win balance of power, and you never ever do, what's the point? What's the point? Give One Nation a clear path to beating the ALP. This country needs you to do that. All right? Maybe even join One Nation's ranks. Don't know. But don't muck around. Last thing we need is another trumpet of patriots coming from left field with idiots like Jackie Lambie and Senator Babat coming in and then giving their preferences to the Teals like they did last election. And now he's jumping up and down, him and Clive Palmer celebrating the death of the Liberal Party. It seems to me that's exactly what this was all about. You know, Clive's got his revenge. Don't forget, Clive was part of the Liberal Party and he ended up leaving the Liberal Party. He was a big donor too, but he couldn't get his way. And he felt, because I gave all this money, I've got to get my way. I hope Pauline does not take a dollar off Clive Palmer. So I wouldn't trust him. And you've only got to look what they've achieved. What have they achieved? What's Clive done except keep giving us ALP? So anyway, that you've just got to be careful on who you follow, I think. So a lot of people are jumping up and down. Kieran Gilbert on Sky News. There's only 2 channels you can watch if you want to have the politics in the background. So naturally, there's all this drama happening. So I've got an interest in it. I want to watch it. So I had a choice. Do I watch ABC or do I watch Sky News? Now you can get, the good thing about Sky News, you can pay a small amount. It's about $5, and you can get the live streams on all the Sky News channel. You don't have to pay the whole Fox subscription. So I thought I'll get that for a month. And I'll see what I get. You know, at least I get the guys after dark, which are reasonable. Kieran Gilbert, though, he belongs in the ABC. That guy is unreal. I mean, he's been coming for Little Proud all day. I just don't believe any of the bullshit. And I just don't like reporters who give you all these anonymous leaks from these parties about all these quotes. He's got these 4 major quotes, and he's going these from 4 different sources. So who is his sources? Alex Hawke? Julian Lesser, Tim Wilson, they're all assholes. Who cares? I wouldn't give a rat's ass what those ones think. You know, but then you got to go through. Well, you go through the whole. Everyone is in the Liberal Party, and you try and isolate who's a good one, who's not. Let's cut some slack. Let's cut for now, and this is leading into night. Let's cut Hasty, Jacinta Price, a few of the others a bit of slack. They've stuffed up. They've messed up once. I think Hasty's ruined his career. It doesn't matter. There's no comeback, but they've stuffed up once. But I do think there's some decent people. I would still include Hasty and Jacinta Price in there. They're doing some stupid things at the moment, but people in these situations do stupid things. And look, for us, Eddie experts sitting in our chair, I've never been in their position. Have you? No one knows how you're going to react when the whole world's piling in on you. You got the media coming in you got everyone coming at you got everyone on social media. You put up a post and you get absolutely slaughtered on the post. It would be a pretty tough thing. You'd have to be pretty resilient to go through it all. So anyway, I'll cut them some slack and say, okay, who are the arseholes? Who are the ones you legitimately know are the moderate arseholes who should be in the ALP? In that Liberal Party ranks, even if you cut anyone slack, if you're doing 50-50, you're doing pretty well. So, you know, until you can split that group out and we can get some hardcore centre right, because here's the other issue. Let's say the One Nation do what we all hope they can do. You know, let's hope they get a flood of people coming behind them, the votes come their way, and then they win government. Now, this is a tweet I put out earlier today too. The last government I can think of that entered government with really little experience, like virtually no experience, was the Gough Whitlam government. You know, for 2-3 decades, Menzies and his successors just ruled across the political landscape. They ruled state level, federal level. The Liberal Party was everywhere. They ruled the institutions, the legal courts, everything. And then Gough Whitlam came in with a bunch of novices who'd never been a minister. It was an absolute disaster. So what's to say that even if One Nation get in, who have they got in their ranks with ministerial experience? There's only one, and that's Barnaby. And I'm not too sure Barnaby was that great a minister. So Pauline, God bless her, I love Pauline, but she's had no ministerial experience. I mean, Pauline, there are concerns I have with One Nation. And I'm going to be behind One Nation. We've got nothing else. But, and I love him to death. But Pauline's had no ministerial experience, and people are talking about her being Prime Minister. That's a pretty tough gig. All right, you probably would want to do an apprenticeship. She's been outstanding as an opposition politician who's stood her ground and built it up. But even Trump said he underestimated, what it was to become president. He wasn't expecting to become president. And he said because of that, they made some mistakes. So, and this is not knocking Pauline, but Trump is more capable than Pauline. That's just a fact. So, I think for all those celebrating and jumping up and down at the end of the LNP and the Liberals and the Nationals, sometimes be careful what you wish for, because we're in some really challenging times, rough waters, however you want to explain it. But I don't know whether that's a rant. I think it's just an observation. Be careful what you wish for, because, and here's the final point on the One Nation. What happens if they don't meet the moment? Okay, we've got rid of the Liberals, probably going to get rid of the Nationals. We're putting all our eggs in the One Nation basket. What if they don't rise up to the challenge? Then what? Then what do we got? You've got a one-party state. That's what you got. The ALP will be with us in government for 30, 40, 50 years probably. Or we might swing even further. There's another fear. We might even swing further to the right, just to try and find an opposition. And then we're screwed no matter which way we go. So I'm not in a celebratory mode as everybody else. And God, I'm praying that One Nation meets the moment and puts all my fears in place. And in 2 years' time, they just romp into government, and somehow magically we have competent ministers in place who can turn this country around. There's a lot of people saying don't recruit from the Liberals or Nationals. I'd say that's kind of foolish. You're going to need some experience. And just get the right people from the Liberals and Nationals. Get some try and recruit some past people with real government experience that you can trust. Like if I was in One Nation, seriously, and a lot of people are going to poo-poo this, if I was in One Nation, I would be doing everything I could to recruit Tony Abbott. And, anyone from those years. Get them to come back. John Anderson. John Anderson is outstanding on his podcast, a former Deputy Prime Minister. Now, he's getting long in the tooth. He's in, I think he's 70s. But, John, come back in for 3 years, take a ministerial role. Let's give you an assistant manager that you can train up. And then you can put in. I hope there's people in the background, in the admin of One Nation that can do that. But let's be honest. This is my fear with One Nation as well. As much as I admire Pauline, the track record of people who've joined One Nation and then left is not great. So, again, I'm coming at this from a position of caution. I'm not jumping up and down celebrating the demise of the Liberals. In fact, quite the opposite. My final point here is I think, there's a lot of talk on the media, how can you heal this rift and all that with the coalition? I don't think they should. I think they should stand on their feet for the next 2 years by themselves, sort themselves out. What do you stand for? I actually think it would help both of those parties to go back and say, you know what? We're a minor party. How do we fix this? How do we rebuild this? And I mean a serious look. And part of that for the Liberals, not so much for the Nationals, is we've got to divorce ourselves from the moderates. We've got to open up our party membership to a more democratic process where the members decide who your candidates are, not some faceless men in New South Wales who are now bizarrely going to all-female nomination processes. So if you want to nominate for a seat, some of those seats apparently in New South Wales are going to be dedicated to only female candidates. Talk about DEI. I mean, oh, my God. So that you would think was only an ALP possibility, but no, the LNP are doing it. So they're giving me plenty of food for rant. So that's my rant. It's a bit depressing. I'm sorry. Tonight we'll have a lot more fun. We're going to come up with some ideas and a plan on what we could do in a hypothetical situation if we were the leader of the Liberal Party. What would be the way to bring it back to some respectability so potentially it can persevere or preserve seats and put itself in a position where it can win enough seats to win government again? Is that achievable? I'm not so sure. I don't think so. But listen, it'll be a bit of fun. We'll definitely have some fun with it. I'd love to have some of you join with me. If you want to, send me a DM. Love to get you in on the conversation. I had a great conversation with Benny. We'll share a screen with a bullet point thing. We'll write some things. And actually, one thing I'm going to have a lot of amusement at, whatever we come up with tonight, tomorrow I will be emailing to every I hope they read it. I'm going to be emailing our suggestions to every LNP, MP and candidate and see what they say. I don't get much response. If they've been getting on my feed, they'd probably screen print my face and it'd be on a dartboard somewhere. But we'll see where it goes. And then after that, the services will be going towards One Nation because honestly, as much as I would hope the Liberals could turn it around, I doubt they're going to. So I'm going to put all my eggs in the basket of the political party I think that could gain government. And I actually think that right now is One Nation. And I don't know whether they can work with the Nationals, but I think both sides, One Nation and the Nationals, have got to swallow a bit of pride and act in the nation's interest. And I also think the other minor parties have got to start thinking about, do we give these guys a clear run it or do we annoy it again? I saw Topher Field coming out again. Oh, my God. He's coming out with all his percentages and his strategy. Just leave it alone. Get One Nation and the Nationals working together. Let them exchange their preferences and give us a chance to beat the ALP. I mean, if we go down this thing, you've got your way. You put the Liberals last. They're gone. Just give One Nation now the chance to get ahead. But don't forget, there was a lot of wars going on between One Nation and the other minor parties. The Australian public has now swung behind One Nation. You minor parties, swallow your pride. Give them a free run at it. I'm not saying don't stand candidates, but don't go to war with One Nation. Don't put up these silly preferential bloody ideas that is just going to guarantee that we get the ALP yet again. So, Topher, you've got some great opinions. Keep to those opinions. Keep away from the political strategy. Because in my opinion, you played a bit of a role in making sure we've got the ALP in power. So with all those stupid bloody marble videos. Let's consolidate what we're doing. Let's learn from the masters of this, the ALP and the Greens. They're the masters. And they don't talk this nonsense. So anyway, that's it for me tonight. Hopefully I can see a few of you tonight, 7:30. It'll be a bit of fun. If you can't see it, we'll share it, obviously. But yeah, we're going to have a crack. What would we do if right now you were the Liberal Party opposition leader? And what I do right now, hint, I would say Nationals, nice knowing you. Go do what you're going to do. We're going to do what we're going to do. Let's see where we are after the election. And if somehow magically you can put together enough seats together to form a government, worry about a coalition then. Come up with your policy. Stand on your own 2 feet. Figure out, and the polls are soon going to tell you whether you're going in the right direction and whether you need to change. Now, both years aren't a drag on each other. The Nationals can come out with their policy loud and clear. The Liberals can come out with their policy loud and clear. I actually think that'd be healthy. And the Australian public can say to both those parties, we think you're full of shit, or hold on. No, you're actually saying some common sense stuff we like. Nah, One Nation's done it. So there's no need to go into these coalitions so quickly. You can form coalitions after an election to see if you can form a political party that can take the government and say, listen, we have the seats. We can form government. You don't need to be doing that now. Anyway, that's just my 2 bobs worth, pardon the pun. I'll see those of you tonight, or I'll see you all tomorrow. Sorry, guys. She knows. I'll see you all tomorrow. See you guys. God bless to you, your kids, your grandkids, your pets, that flag, and to One Nation. They're going to need all the support we can get. See you guys.